Trigger warning.
Diddle, Okay, it's Izzy's turn.
Hey guys, we're back and it's my turn now. Okay. No, you don't need to hear me
That
sing.
was lovely.
Oh, thanks. I don't know about all that.
Lovely.
All right, guys, so look. The last time I brought you a story, it was sort of a mystery.
It was that indeed.
Benjamin Bathurst.
I remember that guy.
right?
We talked about him once.
Well, I'm kind of stuck on the mystery, so I found another one.
Oh.
And this one is actually about a U.S. ship. It's called the U.S.S. Cyclops.
Oh.
Okay.
A one-eyed ship.
Yes.
And the mystery is how it got one eye.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay, so no, for real though, this is about a ship in the U.S. military and whatnot. So it's pretty interesting. So I'm excited to see what you guys think about it. So
Okay, lay it on us.
the U.S.S. Cyclops.
Oh, wait.
Trigger warnings.
Trigger warnings.
Why do I always forget those?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
guys.
the name of the podcast.
As far as this, there's really
Spooky stuff?
There's some war, but we don't really get into the war.
Okay.
And what or anything like that.
Possibility of drowning?
Maybe. I don't remember a drowning.
Okay.
No, it's really just a mystery. It's like another disappearance.
Oh, okay.
So there's really not a trigger warning that I can think of at this moment.
Well, unless people are afraid of ships.
Yeah.
In which case, maybe you shouldn't have clicked on this one.
Yeah, well,
maybe you should have.
If there's a trigger warning while we're talking, I'll try to say it, but I really don't think there's a big trigger warning or anything.
Okay.
It's not like a true crime or anything like that.
Okay.
Murder or anything. So
as long as we don't talk about the dark vastness of the ocean and how terrifying it is.
Ew, no.
Because I don't like that.
We are not talking about that.
Okay, then, yeah, let's do it then.
Okay, guys. The USS Cyclops. It was a Proteus-class collier ship run by civilians. We're going to talk about what those words mean in a second.
I know what civilians mean.
People. Yeah. Regular people.
Regular old people.
A little bit about the ship. It was 540 feet long.
Wow.
65 feet wide. And it was capable of holding almost 13,000 tons of coal.
Holy crap.
So the word Proteus just basically means it is a ship that was built in the early 20th century to carry coal.
Okay.
Okay? Collier ship was a coal transport ship. So we're kind of redundant.
Okay.
So we're a coal-carrying
coal
transport ship.
Okay.
Okay? So the Cyclops is what it was called at first. It actually came under U.S. Navy control once the U.S. declared war against Germany and the German allies in April of 1917. Talking about World War I.
Right.
The Great War. So what had been run by civilians and just people now became run by people who were considered officers and Naval Reserve forces.
Okay.
So it was kind of a
was it like a
people.
personnel transport now, or was it actually like a war
It was
ship?
still a transport ship.
Okay.
Okay?
Supplies and
that was its main purpose, and that's what it was good at.
Because it would have had lots of cargo
So
room.
it was used for a while, but we're going to kind of go to its final mission.
Okay.
Because most of the missions were normal, and it transported coal and other supplies to other places.
And U.S. allies and...
Yeah, like in the Bahamas and down farther south.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Like South America down south?
Yes.
Okay.
So its final mission was to transport around 10,000 tons of coal from its home port of Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk?
To Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Rio, okay.
Yeah. And it was going to be bringing back 11,000 tons of something called manganese ore.
Okay.
Okay. So this manganese ore is actually a common mineral that is found in the Earth's crust.
I'm glad I was going to say, did you look up what manganese
I
ore is? Because I have
had
no idea what
to.
that means.
Had
Yeah.
to. So it's actually used in the production of steel. That's its main thing. It's also used in batteries and iron making. And something really interesting, it's a common form of it has been used in cave drawings.
What? That's cool.
Isn't that neat? That's all I didn't go into that. That was for another day, but
Come on, Diz.
I thought that was
That's
pretty
another podcast, probably.
Yeah.
Art,
So,
cave art. That's we're gonna do an entire podcast about cave art.
Oh my gosh, cave art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's probably some all over the world.
Yeah, there is, I'm sure. But that would take a lot of education I don't have.
Just in the Midwest of the United States alone. But I know
people
there's some
drink
everywhere.
bison.
Yeah.
Buffaloes and bison. Okay, so manganese ore was going to be coming back.
It was coming back because it helped with the steel making and that kind of thing. That was its primary use at the time. Steel and iron. Okay, so the U.S.S. Cyclops departed from Norfolk, Virginia on January 9th, 1918. It arrived in Rio on January 28th of 1918, which made it about 19-day journey to get there.
I was going to say, that's like almost
It's a
20
long
days.
time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So it stayed in that port for 2 weeks, unloading its cargo and loading the ore and stuff that they were bringing back. Okay, so then on February 15th, the USS Cyclops had 309 people on board, set off for their only scheduled stop before they got to Baltimore, Maryland, which was their final stop. So they set off for a place called Bahia, Brazil. So that was their scheduled stop, and they were going to go straight to Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. How far was that from Rio?
I don't know.
Okay.
Don't ask me questions.
Brazil's rather large.
It is. And I don't know. I don't have. We'll talk about the total amount of
distance
in just a second. I don't know exactly how far that is.
I will shut my stupid face then and let you speak.
You're fine. Okay, so on February 22nd, at around 1800 hours, which is 6 p.m., it departed from the port at Bahia, Brazil, from Maryland, and it was expected to arrive on March 13th. So from February 22nd to March 13th.
Which is about the same.
Which is about the same
amount number
of
of days, roughly. Because part of it, I think, currents, it might be a little faster because of the way the currents flow,
possibly.
Maybe.
And that was not even anything mentioned.
Right.
Because, yeah.
And maybe
I'm sure.
I don't know. I don't math good, so.
Well, I don't know about nautical things very much.
Yeah, I don't either because I'm scared of the water.
Same. Okay. Its last known location was in Barbados on March 3rd. So it's 10 days away in theory.
Right.
And it was an unscheduled stop.
Okay.
They still had 1,800 nautical miles, which is not exactly the same as like our regular mile.
Right.
We're
okay.
crossing an ocean. They still had about 1,800 nautical miles left of their journey. The total amount of miles they were going was 4,844 nautical miles. And at the point of Barbados, they had traveled 3,044 of those 4,844 miles.
Okay, and Barbados, I guess, was actually on the track, so this wasn't like they went out of their way?
I don't think they went out of their way.
Because it sounds like, I mean, like I said, I don't math good, but it sounds like they
were
still
like,
on track for the right amount of mileage.
Yes, they weren't like off course or anything like that. They just hadn't scheduled any other stops besides that last one in Brazil.
Okay.
And so the last known location is in Barbados. So February 22nd, and then an unscheduled stop on March 3rd. Sorry guys, I'm mathing.
Yep. So that's like 10 days.
Maybe a couple more.
Because February is 28 days usually, so that's 22nd to the 28th is 6 days, and then like 7, 8, 9, so about 10 days.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so after this stop in Barbados, the ship and the crew were never seen again.
So they were physically seen in Barbados, not just radar or anything like that.
They know that they were there. I don't know how. I don't know if the port was like, yes, they were here, blah, blah, blah. That's all that's really said in what I was finding. A former crew member spoke to the Navy and whatnot in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
This was 51 years later. An officer, his name was Conrad Nervig, was transferred off the ship in Rio.
Okay.
So he had been on the ship to Rio,
Rio,
but then he was transferred off. Don't know why, don't know anything else about that. He had just been transferred off, so he was not on the return trip.
It could have been, I guess, a planned transfer, maybe?
Possibly.
We don't know.
I have
okay.
no idea.
Okay.
So he was writing in an article for a publication for the U.S. Navy Institute called Proceedings. That's what this article, publication is called.
Mm-hmm.
And he was writing about the ship and crew, and he said that their commanding officer, who was Lieutenant Commander George W. Worley, was gruff, eccentric salt of the old school, given to carrying a cane but possessing few other cultural attainments.
Okay. So a not very classy, kind of rough sailor man.
He said he was an indifferent seaman and poor, overly cautious navigator.
Okay.
Unfriendly, taciturn, and generally disliked by officers and crew members.
Wow. How did this guy, this was the captain?
This was the lieutenant commander.
Lieutenant commander.
Yes, he was essentially the captain. He was the commander of the ship. He was the captain.
Everybody hated him.
And pretty much everyone hated him. And apparently he wasn't a good navigator and just wasn't a good sailor. Is essentially...
Well, war. I guess that's how.
And who you know, this is in 1917 and before,
Right.
So he also was telling a story about an incident that involved the captain. One of the engines was overturned, like they were trying to start it again, and a sailor was close by it. The force of the propellers turning pulled the boat that the sailor was in towards it, knocked the sailor overboard, and he drowned.
Oh, no.
And the captain didn't do anything to keep it from happening. I think kind of what... Okay, so he said he blamed the captain for that, and he said that the captain had created a thoroughly demoralized and disorganized crew, and blamed the captain's, quote, irrational methods of command. So the way I took it is that the captain was told, hey, Joe Bob is over there in this little boat, but he still wanted them to do it or something. Like, it was disorganized. He didn't really care.
Didn't respond to logic and didn't.
Right.
And it was just just do it my way, whatever.
That's how I took what he was writing.
That's how I would interpret that too, I think.
So, he just sounds like an awful, awful captain, and that would be terrifying to be on a ship with him.
Yeah.
And he's the one you have to take your orders from.
Yeah. And people like that don't like being questioned, so even if the sailors knew better,
which they
he
probably
was the
did.
commanding officer, and so they had to do things the way he said to do them.
Yeah, and I'm sure they had more experience, because they're the ones actually doing the things.
Right.
If you think about it. He's just the one being like, let's go this way, or whatever. He's not nice like Captain Jack.
Captain Jack Sparrow?
Yeah.
I know that guy. He's
fun.
Nice, but the rum's always gone.
Okay, so now let's talk about what we think the actual cause of it was.
Okay.
Because let's face it, even with a crappy commander, demoralized crew, they could still...
It's a 540-foot ship. It doesn't just disappear.
The ocean, doing the things that they've done, being the sailors that they are.
Right.
So, what could have happened?
The basics, yeah.
So one suggestion that Nervig said was that he thinks something happened and the Cyclops split right in the middle and sank.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir?
Maybe the load of ore was off balance? Or...
So he said he was pretty sure the ore was stored in the midship holds. And he said it would, in turn, further emphasize the ship's natural weaknesses.
Right.
I guess because
it's such a long ship that
yes,
if
that's the weak point of the
right,
ship.
if all the pressure and all the weight is in that center portion, it pulls on. Yeah, that makes sense.
And he said he thinks that this misstorage of putting it there in the weakest part of the ship, essentially, happened because he said, quote, the only officer on board with experience storing this particular ore was an executive officer who had been placed under arrest and confined to his room due to a trivial disagreement with the captain.
So
Interesting,
the captain
right?
basically was pissed about something
Stupid.
minute.
Probably the guy was like, no, we shouldn't
Confined
do that,
the guy to
Captain.
quarters, and then the guy with the experience wasn't there to tell people how to load it.
So, and apparently he was the only one who
Who
actually
knew how
had
to deal with that
experience
kind of.
with this.
Okay.
Coal, no big deal, but this particular ore was
Right.
something else.
Because he probably, there's probably weight properties and stuff that are different, and how to distribute the load and stuff in the boat.
And he was also saying that the stress a boat goes through at sea could break the ship in two, and then water just comes in and fills in those spaces so quickly once it's vertical.
Right.
Like just like a waterfall into it. You've seen like the Titanic movies and stuff like that.
Everybody's seen the Titanic movie.
Right? And so he thinks it probably happened so quick that they didn't have time to deploy lifeboats or
do anything.
Or save themselves or anything. That's what he thinks may have happened.
Yeah. And if any of the bodies washed up somewhere, which would be strange because they were out in the middle of the ocean.
Right.
It was a time where they couldn't just ring up the U.S. and say, hey, we found one of your sailors. So
right.
It would have, like, if it ended up on Barbados or, an island that was uninhabited, or if they didn't have a lot of technology, or if they just didn't, like, it's just somebody who died. That happens. It's the ocean.
Yeah.
And then the pieces of the ship would have gone straight down if they were full of water. So that would make sense.
That would make sense. That's unfortunate, but that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another theory.
Okay. A mutiny.
The ship was in the Bermuda Triangle at the time.
Oh, boy, yeah.
So we've all heard of the Bermuda Triangle, right?
Yes, we have.
And all these ships that would mysteriously vanish, and even some airplanes and stuff. So a man named Richard Weiner looked into the disappearance of the U.S.S. Cyclops for a documentary back in 1973.
Okay.
The documentary is called The Devil's Triangle. He thinks there may have been a failed mutiny, implying issues and discord on the ship. Issues like with the captain and
right,
like what Nervig was saying. But other people are like, but they're essentially in the area of the triangle, and they've just vanished. There's no sign of them.
Right. But the Bermuda Triangle is huge.
Yes.
I mean, huge among us. I looked it up.
How big is it?
It is between 500,000 and 1.5 million square miles. And that is 1.3 to 3.9 million square kilometers.
That's insane.
It's humongozoid.
Well, and here's the thing, too. Well, we could talk about that in a second. There's been a few other theories, not quite as involved.
Mm-hmm.
Some think that the ore just exploded for whatever reason.
Is it?
Because this was just like an off-the-cuff remark, like in the things I've read.
Okay, uh-huh.
Something that the boat just capsized, but I'm like, why? Why did it capsize?
I mean, there could have been a storm, like a freak storm. Because out on the ocean,
yeah.
I mean, things vary, and they didn't have a lot of weather.
It's like, I don't know how well they tracked weather and stuff like that as far as storms
they had
and everything.
some, but
especially down in the Bahamas and farther,
and out in the open ocean too. Yeah. It wasn't close to land
that we know of,
right? That we know of. Unless it could have been not a failed mutiny, and they could have killed the captain and just taken the ship.
And been like, bye guys, we're leaving
sold the
with the
ore,
ore.
and they all went and lived happy little lives somewhere.
Yeah.
Sank the ship off of an island somewhere, or
Wouldn't that be interesting to find?
that would be really cool, actually. I bet somebody out there will end up finding that ship one day.
And maybe then we would get answers.
Because it's wild how they find stuff like that. I don't know.
And to think that it's just down in the bottom of the ocean somewhere, just
And
sitting
well,
there.
and part of the thing is, you say they were in the Bermuda Triangle, but were they?
Yeah, I
Because
have
he was
no
such a
idea.
terrible navigator.
Right.
He could have headed anywhere.
We don't know exactly where he was.
They could have
once
ended
they
up
left
in the
Barbados.
Gulf of Mexico, or like, the coast of Africa. Like, we have no idea how he ended up.
And if they were going that direction, like, who knows?
Yeah. They could have sailed further north into the Atlantic instead of, like, turning toward the U.S. If he was a bad navigator. And if I feel like there was probably a mutiny or an attempted mutiny.
Yeah, and it may have been like him arresting that executive officer who actually knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe that was like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Right.
We can't do this. He's an idiot, and we have to take over the ship.
Yeah. Because their lives relied on him, and if he didn't know what he was doing, then.
And also, who really knows what had happened besides? Because that's just Nervig's idea.
Guess. Yeah. Or,
so I guess the officer had, before they got to Rio or while they were in port, had gotten arrested for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew about it. Well,
right.
Because he knew he was arrested.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Right? Because he's saying he was arrested.
So there was probably an argument on the way to Rio.
Right. Or while they were in port.
Or while they were in port and he was confined to quarters or arrested.
Which makes sense if he's like, the ore shouldn't be right here, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then we don't know what else may have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Okay, so there is a couple other.
Yeah, okay.
Some people think it might have been a kraken.
The kraken?
They think a giant octopus may have just drug it down underwater to the depths, to Davy Jones' lockup.
540-foot boat. That would be a very, very large
giant
kraken.
Yeah. Some think that a German U-boat may have sunk it.
That's possible.
So they looked into post-war records, and there's not a record of U-boats being in that area, but I don't know
how accurate their logs were. And
yeah, I don't know about that. So that is something that would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it was a cargo ship and the Germans saw it, they could have thought they were interrupting supplies. And even like the ore or coal, even if they thought it was that, they would, they would know that it was a cargo ship and that was holding something of value to the U.S. Navy.
Right.
It didn't matter if it was food and personnel or if it was coal or whatever it was. They would have thought, okay, this will disrupt their war effort.
And it's like if Germany is like, no, we didn't have any U-boats over there after the war is over.
Right.
Can we trust that? Like, why are they be like, yeah, that was...
They could have totally done that. Yeah, and just been like, no, wasn't us.
Some people think the ship might have just been operating on one engine because a cylinder could have broken.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make the ship more susceptible to having other issues happen that would cause something bad to happen and it sink. Or something.
Uh-huh.
There had been reports of damage to the hull and pipes that had not been addressed by the captain as of the time of the sailing. Don't know exactly what these issues were, the damage or anything.
Okay.
But having damage to the hull,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's what sunk the Titanic.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's just some other little theories.
And if there was damage to the engine and they didn't have a lot of power or something like that, and there was a storm, even if it wasn't a huge one, a storm, a rogue wave, there are rogue waves, like, that they could have flipped it or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so there's also a little bit more.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about...
I want it to be aliens and a kraken. That's what I want it to be.
Well, we can go with that.
Okay.
There's the mystery of the 3 Proteus class ships.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So there's actually 4 Proteus-class collier ships. The USS Proteus, which is their flagship,
Uh-huh.
the USS Cyclops,
Uh-huh.
the USS Nereus, and the USS Jupiter.
And they were all coal-carrying coal ships.
Mm-hmm. The Proteus, the Cyclops, and the Nereus all mysteriously vanished in the Bermuda Triangle area. All 3 had been operating under the same or similar duties or orders during World War I and II.
What? So
Interesting.
different times.
Right.
Obviously, if it was World War
Because,
II
like,
as
the
well.
Cyclops, World War I, and it's missing.
Right.
But then there were other ones that were used throughout, but then vanished.
Oh, that's weird.
Right? Now, the Jupiter, it actually became the first USS aircraft carrier.
Really?
Or yeah. It was renamed the Langley, but it was severely damaged by the Japanese during World War II and was not really used afterwards. So it doesn't really have anything odd occurring to it.
Right.
But those other 3?
3 out of 4 with similar orders in a similar space, even if that space is 1,500 miles, or 1.5 million miles, or whatever. That's creepy.
It's weird. And they were all used for the same thing.
The Cyclops, we know the captain was shitty and hard to get along with, and proud and wouldn't take advice and whatever. So with just that one, you could think, okay, there was a mutiny, or there was a problem with the loading of the ore, and it caused a weakness in the ship, and and a break in the hull or whatever. But for 3 out of 4, it makes you wonder if they weren't built correctly, or
it could
like
be something like that,
or was it that they were so like maybe they were just hard up for personnel, and so they were promoting people that didn't know anything about the ships that they were doing, and so maybe all the captains sucked,
possibly. Or maybe
because the only reason we really know that captain was bad was because of the guy that was transferred off in Rio, that lived.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely.
So if the other captains were not good, or the crew wasn't experienced enough,
or if you go with the idea of a German U-boat sinking the Cyclops, well, the Proteus and the Nereus, they all are going to be looking the same. They're gonna who was in the Second World War? Germany.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna know
they
that
know
these are
them,
still supply boats.
Right.
That they're not made.
Yeah, anybody
for
that spends time
defense
on the ocean and stuff, they recognize what types of ships are,
and with that respect,
and what they're used
then
for.
The Jupiter was even damaged and put out of order the same way in a sigil, but just by a Japanese aircraft.
Okay.
That's how they were. Because it was a carrier at that point.
And it was all during wartime, though.
Yes.
Okay, so it was either World War I or World War II. That's a lot of woo-woos to say.
Woo-woos.
So it could have very well been that they were all sunk.
Right.
That's a little less strange, because cargo ships, of course, they're going to target those.
And here's the thing. It says that they all vanished in the Bermuda Triangle area, but I don't know if they really vanished in the Bermuda Triangle area.
Right.
Like, I don't...
And like I said, the Bermuda Triangle is gigantic, and the reason it's such a huge range of size is because people set the boundaries of it in different places.
Right.
So it's generalized to be in that.
Around this area.
And all the missing aircraft and all the missing ships and whatever that happen there, it's because there are so many that travel in that area.
Right. Yeah, that's actually something that I was reading about. I was reading about Bermuda / Devil's Triangle, and they were saying there's really not evidence to say more ships go missing or aircraft. It's just like you said, it is a direct route so much between the U.S. and South
Europe
America
and South America and the Caribbean islands.
There's just so many that are going through there, especially over the years.
Right.
Talking about that, I went and found some stats. The number of aircraft, quote, incidents attributed to the Bermuda Triangle were 11 total. And they even broke it down by, like, the year. Quite a few between 45 and 1949.
Mm-hmm.
6 then. And then
You
1960.
mean when there were aliens going to Roswell?
Yeah. And the wars.
Yeah. War. Yeah.
1965 there were 2.
Mm-hmm.
In 2005 there was 1, and then 2017 there were 2 aircraft incidents.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's still pretty significant, I guess. But
yeah,
the number of sea incidents are 13, and this goes all the way back to 1800.
See, 11 and 13 is not that many.
It's not that many, and that's really close to this, right?
Yeah.
Because this is from...
If you think about the thousands and thousands of aircraft and ships that travel in that direction.
Right. Well, and this is for, like, the sea ones is from 1800 to 2015. That's 200 years.
Yeah. And I'm sure there have been, like, private vessels lost and stuff that aren't recorded, but...
And basically, in those specific years, which there's so many, I'm not going to go through all of those for the sea incidents.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 1 that year.
Yeah.
And in 2015, there were 2 ships that were attributed to that.
And that area is prone to, like, hurricanes and stuff like that. And the weather, the weather is watched so closely and stuff on land because that's where it affects the most people.
Right.
So, there is, of course, weather prediction and stuff for the ocean for sailors and fishermen and all that. But a small storm coming up in the middle of the Atlantic or the Pacific or wherever.
Yeah.
When you're so far from land, any little thing goes wrong and your ship can sink and it's done.
Right.
And that area is prone to, because of the geography and stuff. That's why there are things I know. It's butterfly in Africa. Just kidding, not that.
Yeah.
But no, the way that the wind currents are and stuff like that, the natural currents, and the way that the hurricanes form and hit Florida and that kind of thing, Bermuda Triangle is part of that path.
Yeah.
And so even if it's not a hurricane, the storms they come up sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for that many ships and stuff to go through there and only 11 air incidents and 13 sea incidents is like nothing, really.
And it's interesting because they attributed 1 land incident in 1969 in Bimini, Bahamas.
Okay.
But listen to this. It says 2 lighthouse keepers disappeared or were never found during a hurricane.
During a hurricane?
I'm like, well, if they fell off of the actual lighthouse. So I was like, why would you even include this? So I found that kind of strange.
Yeah. To me, that's not weird. If they were there and it was sunny outside and they were BFFs and they both disappeared, then something's wrong.
Then that's weird.
Yeah. But in a hurricane, yeah, of course.
Then it's aliens.
Then it's aliens and a kraken.
And a kraken. Anyway, so it's been 107 years, essentially. Mm-hmm. I'm still not really sure what happened to the Cyclops.
Someday they'll find it and they'll be like, oh, look, the ore is still here and it was loaded improperly.
Probably this, blah, blah, blah.
Right. This ding-dong maneuvered this ship all the way to Texas by accident, and it's sunk off Texas's shore or whatever.
What a ding-dong.
Yeah, what a ding-dong. But it'll probably turn out okay. But, not okay, obviously, they all died. But
right.
There'll be an explanation that makes sense. And it probably is, like, the most, the simplest,
Absolutely.
A kraken. So, that's what,
okay, you
that's
got me.
Yeah. But it is interesting, though, that 3 out of the 4 of those ships just vanished without a trace.
It is weird.
Well,
in theory, without a trace. Right. I don't really know. Because
it was also
how do they know it was in
a different time? A lot of, with war and stuff, like the logs and who knows?
Well, and I didn't dive into the particular stories of those other 2.
Pun
no
intended.
pun intended, honestly.
Very funny.
Oh my gosh. I didn't dive into those stories because who knows?
Because we were talking about the Cyclops, that's why.
Cyclops.
Yeah. I wonder if the other ships if they were all coal carrying, but I wonder if they used them for other stuff during a war effort, like weapons and stuff.
Right. Or just supplies.
Because if they had weapons
food
or like bombs or, some kind of munitions in there, then an explosion could have happened. Something could have happened that it destroyed the ship, and nothing was ever found of one of them.
Let me check. Hold on one moment.
Hold, please. Okay, so we looked up some stuff. We did some fact checking.
We fact checked a little bit. So, guys, in some of the sources I read, they were saying that the Nereus and the Proteus also went missing in the Bermuda Triangle like the USS Cyclops, people think.
Mhm.
However, upon further investigation, it looks like the Proteus did actually go missing in the Bermuda Triangle, and it was looks like it wasn't seen after November 23rd of 1941.
And that was the one.
That was during the war. That was the Proteus was the flagship of the Proteus class.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of did, I think, what the Cyclops was doing.
Mm-hmm.
The Nereus, however, looks like it did serve as a transport ship, but it was decommissioned in 1922, which
Right.
to me means it was not used on a regular basis
Right.
for missions in 1922. And then it said that it was used to test the submarine-launched missiles off Pearl Harbor in 1955.
So it didn't go missing at all.
No.
It was like, it had the normal life of a ship.
Right. And it said that it was used in San Diego, and it spent most of its time repairing submarines.
And then you read something about a ship being sold to Canada. Was that the Proteus?
That was the Proteus.
So it was sold to Canada, and then
in 1941.
And then it went missing while it was in the possession of Canada.
Of the Canadian company that owned it.
Okay.
And that was
it went
in
missing
November
in
of 1941 that it went missing.
Okay.
Allegedly in the Bermuda Triangle.
So the Nereus apparently has just gotten like meshed in with all this mess.
Because it's the same class.
But the Proteus and the Cyclops, we know, went missing in the Bermuda Triangle, never seen again. They don't know why. But they were both during a war, so they could have been sunk by U-boats or some other issue.
Right.
Did we find anything else out about the Jupiter?
No, because it was used as the aircraft. It was the first aircraft carrier.
Okay, yeah, so it was fine.
So it was just like normal, and it
so
did its thing.
Instead of 3 out of 4, it's 2 out of 4.
And it was shot in World War II by a Japanese plane.
Right, okay. So
and then they were like,
2 out of 4 went missing in the Bermuda Triangle.
Correct. So I'm reading. So this is actually from the Naval History and Heritage Command website. That's where I'm finding this particular information.
Mm-hmm.
About it being the Proteus being sold to a Canadian company, and it went missing. It was carrying 58 people, a crew of 58, and a cargo of bauxite ore, and that is spelled Bauxite ore. And I'm gonna see if I can tell what that is. It's a clayey rock that is the chief commercial ore of aluminum. Interesting.
Is that, what's the word I'm looking for? Can it start a fire? Is it combustible?
Let me find out.
Okay. Hold, please. While she's looking that up, I would just like to say, thanks for sticking by us while we're learning to research this stuff. We're just doing it on the fly now.
That's right, guys.
You're seeing our process.
It is not combustible.
But it probably could have been loaded wrong.
Not flammable. It's, quote, non-flammable, non-combustible, and it has a negligible fire hazard.
Okay. But it could have been loaded wrong, like the ore that the Cyclops picked up. Or it could have been hit by a storm. Or it could be the Kraken.
Because hearing the word ore, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
What happened to it? But it's just...
But that's what they were made for.
It's a loop.
Was to carry that stuff around.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I found.
But it's still kind of weird that 2 out of 4 of the same class of ships.
Yeah. That is a little weird.
But it sounds like the other 2 lived a good long life.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And they did their job, and...
I think the U-boats released the Kraken, and then they were beamed up by aliens.
That's what it was. Oh my gosh, you figured it out.
I did. I didn't even have to find the ships. I just know what happened. That's a cool story. I think that people like the idea of, like, the kind of creepiness of the Bermuda Triangle.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's fun to watch movies and hear stories
Like,
about it.
ooh.
And, you know, logically we can sit here and say, okay, well, it's just pure numbers. It's like, because there are so many aircraft and ships that travel through the area, it makes sense that there would be more disappearances and crashes and things like that. But not logically, it's just creepy as hell.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's fun.
And the ocean is an unknown.
Right.
And especially back in the day,
Yes.
when, you know, it's a little bit different now because we
have GPS signals and satellites
Satellite,
everywhere and
drones
whatever.
and all that stuff.
But even now, like, if somebody goes missing at sea, it takes a lot to search for them. And
it's vast.
It's
huge.
It's one of those things that's so big you can't wrap your head around how big it is.
Yeah.
And the Bermuda Triangle is just a small area of it, really, but it's still pretty dang big.
Yeah. I mean, it is, because just the amount that you were saying earlier of the size.
Yeah.
It's alleged size, because we don't really have a specific.
Right, because there aren't specific borders. But I think that that's what kind of adds mystery and kind of like almost like a romantic air to it. Like pirates and Bermuda Triangle and lost treasure and mutiny aboard the Cyclops, and, you know, it's all that kind of air of mystery.
Agreed.
You know. How many crew members were on the Cyclops, though?
3? Hold on.
3?
100 and... It was a ... okay?
It was a 3 ....
309, I think. Hold on, I'm almost back to my notes that I have. 309.
309 people. And then 58 people on the Proteus. So, to them, it's not romantic, and it's not, you know, and their families. That's sad.
They were also talking about, like, the U.S.S. Jupiter that was the first aircraft carrier and renamed the Langley. In the 1930s, it was turned into a seaplane, like a seaplane. No, let me
like
go
a
back.
Landing area for seaplanes.
Hold on, let me see. I think I just had it, and then we started talking about. It was converted to a seaplane tender, which is a transport, like it could ferry. It
tends to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, so when you're on a cruise ship, the tender boat is like the little boat that will take you from the cruise ship off the coast to the island you're going to visit.
Okay.
It's that. It did that for seaplanes.
It was like an Uber.
Yes.
It was
a lift.
It was a lift.
Okay. Anyway, it was used as a seaplane tender and then was sunk in February of 1942 by a Japanese aircraft. It was actually trying to ferry a fighter plane to the island of Java. Okay. And it was shot and...
Wow. Okay.
So there were no aliens involved in that.
Are we sure, though?
No Kraken.
We're sure about
that one.
The Kraken.
I'm pretty darn sure about.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I mean, overall, though, it is an interesting story, and we should do an episode just on Bermuda Triangle and the quote unquote mysterious disappearances.
I agree.
And I'll even put my logic brain away and just enjoy it.
Okay.
And I'll just be like, oh my gosh, that's creepy. And I'll be like, it's the Kraken.
I know. She'll just be like, aliens and Kraken.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Okay.
It's always aliens. You know what? With the way things are right now, it could have been aliens.
Yeah. It makes for a funner story to think it's Krakens and aliens, but
anyway,
then you think about all those people, and then it's sad. So
that is all I've got about the U.S.S. Cyclops. I thought that was
pretty
interesting, though.
So you came across that when you were looking at Benjamin Bathurst and stuff,
and disappearances.
Okay.
Then because it was back in the early 1900s,
right?
And Bathurst was in.
You're making my brain hurt with all these things that don't have, like, they're not wrapped up in a bow at the end. Sorry. I can't tell what happened.
I'll have to do a true crime. I'll try to find one that's been solved.
Yes, please.
That'll help you out there.
If you notice my true crimes that I usually do, they're ones that are solved because it makes my brain feel better. And I'm not an investigative journalist. I'm not going to be able to solve a case that the cops can't solve. So I'm like,
try to, though.
It's nice to have it wrapped up in a little bow. So
it is nice when it's already figured out.
Yeah.
But
Benjamin Bathurst was riding a Kraken and took out the Cyclops.
And the aliens were telling him where to go.
Go, exactly. That's what happened.
That's what happened.
All right, well, I guess that's it for this one.
That is it,
We had
guys.
a mysterious little one-eyed ship, and it's gone, and we don't know what happened to it.
That's right.
And I really hope that one day they find it, and we can find out what happened.
And we'll update you guys.
Yeah.
If we can.
We might be 87 years old, but we'll be like,
do our best.
They found that ship. So
Back in the day.
Back in the day, remember when we talked about that ship? I thought it was the Kraken, but really, they just loaded the ore wrong.
We're going to keep this recording and use the same voices.
Yes. Even if I don't talk like that, I'm going to talk like that.
Yeah.
kind of talk like that now.
A little bit. If we get it really excited, we do.
Yeah. True. Okay.
Okay, guys.
All right. Thanks for hanging in there with us. And you can email us at triggerwarning411@gmail.com. And you can let us know what you think about the Cyclops. And I'm going to get some social media stuff going because we have people listening to us. Diz.
Yes, thank you so much for listening, you guys. It's
Yes.
so exciting.
People have been downloading our episodes, and there are people not in the U.S. that are listening to us, and people in the U.S. from far away. And it just amazes me.
And it just blows our minds.
Yes.
That there are people in other countries.
We were actually giggling and like squee and like stuff like that because people were listening.
Yeah, we squeaked a little bit.
I didn't know that people would listen to us, and it makes me
know.
happy.
I hope they continue to do that.
I hope so too. Maybe I should stop now before they say this is annoying.
They're like, this is boring.
I'm not listening to this anymore. Okay, well, thanks everybody, and we'll check you out next time.
Bye, guys.
And watch
for deer.